Then, something also began to form immediately after. So, little by little, the form took shape. And as it did, it took the shape of a hammer. But at this moment, the guy heard some sound. So he whispered, asking Hyona if she'd heard something. "No, I didn't hear anything." "What sound?" "I seemed to hear something behind me." As he said this, the guy turned his head to take a look behind him. And as he did, what followed immediately after was a massive smack on his cheek as a lot of blood splashed from his mouth. He may have lost some teeth too. Accompanied with a loud bang, he crushed heavily on the ground in an instant, letting go of his iron bat. Hyona, shocked, was momentarily speechless seeing this. And as she got her act together, she asked the guy what was wrong. But as the guy laid on the floor, trembling all over and unable to respond, Hyona told him not to scare her. What was wrong? In this moment, Han Feng's apartment door opened with a click, and as Hyona turned to look, she was met with a fire extinguisher. Han Feng released the visibly white gas in the fire extinguisher directly on Hyona's face as she screams in pain like the siren of the Pacific she was. With her eyes closed, Hyona, shaking profusely, begs for Han Feng to stop. She was finding it hard to breathe, but as her dramatic plea fell on deaf ears, Hyona's eyes bulged out a little as she began to suffocate. Fortunately for her, the gas in the fire extinguisher stopped seconds after. Hyona took a couple steps back, and when she did, she started to cough loudly, over and over again until she heard someone groaning in pain beside her. She turned her head slightly and was surprised with what she saw. Hyona's boyfriend, who was brutally battered and shaking uncontrollably, turned out to be the guy she received help from earlier. All the food he managed to deceive and buy from the other homeowners were taken away when his apartment was raided. Left with nothing to eat, he and Hyona targeted Han Feng, thinking he was an easy prey. However, the current situation they were in was totally something none of them expected. Hyona was in a predicament at the moment, not knowing what to do when the guy, with about a dozen of his teeth knocked out, pleaded for her to save him. But Hyona just simply stared, speechless. She had no idea what to do in that moment. After all, she thought what was required of her was to make Han Feng open his apartment door, and he would have taken care of the rest. But at that very moment, suspicious hands reached for her from the shadows. And as the hands tried to grab hold of her, Hyona fearfully stepped backwards and fell on her behind with a loud thud. Han Feng narrowly missed her as he only managed to grab a few strands of her hair in his attempt. Hyona, on the other hand, got up in a split second and bolted like her life depended on it. And given the current situation, it was. She shouted for help as she ran as fast as her legs could carry her. Han Feng just stared at her in frustration. He was a bit angry at himself for his slip-up. And as Hyona's figure disappeared from the corridor seconds later, he was taken aback about how quick she was. Hyona's escape was even faster than a fire drill. The guy she left behind also tried to get on his feet, alarming Han Feng. He kicked the guy in the stomach. "Who gave you permission to get up?" "Who?" he asked. Han Feng raised his leg and was about to continue his assault when the guy started to vomit, pleading for him to wait. He should wait for a moment. Did Han Feng know who his father was? "If you dare to touch me again," he said, "I will." Han Feng punched the guy in the face, cutting him off in the middle of his threats. Then, he kneed him on his chin with an uppercut. "You think you can threaten me in a time like this? I don't care who your dad is. After all, it's you I'm hitting, not him." The guy immediately raised his hand, and again, pleaded for Han Feng to wait. "Wait a moment, big brother. I have no grudges against you. Why do you?" He was cut off again with another punch in the face. Han Feng spared him no words as he got on top of him and started punching him repeatedly. Realizing that Han Feng was dead set on killing him, he asked why. Why was he trying to kill him? Was his life so worthless in his eyes? Han Feng continued with his assault and didn't even stop when flesh blood continued to drip from his raised fist. So when he eventually halted his actions, the guy's face was bloodied and beaten so badly that he could barely see or talk. His shaking body also intensified. But Han Feng neither cared nor did he want it to stop. He grabbed the iron bat initially intended for him, and as he walked up to the guy, he started to cry, realizing that his permanent end was near. His last request was for Han Feng to give him a reason. Why was he really doing this? Reason. Han Feng said this through his clenched teeth. "Stop pretending already." Without any hesitation in his movement or decision, he swung the iron bat directly on the guy's head, deleting him. His blood splattered on the cold floor, and the scene was similar to the treatment Han Feng received in his previous life. Han Feng, breathing rapidly, commented that in his previous life, did the guy ask why when he killed him? Suddenly, When the adrenaline subsides and the realization of what he